Ksenia here again with the special tarot reading for Mars retrograde, which would hit us from September 9 to November 14. 2020, promises and delivers. What a time to be alive, right? I want to be doing sign by sign reading. It is a very short reading just to show general energies which are at play during the Mars retrograde 2020. Plenty of astrologers were already talking about the astrological premises of this retrograde, of this transit. And my role here is very simple. I've just done a reading with general energies for the collective. Because although Mars is a small planet and hence a personal planet, it is kind of same thing as if we were all put in the same whirlpool or in the same, I don't know, crashing plane or something. We're all experiencing the same, we're all experiencing it differently, right? But still, I think that it is super important to know what is the energy of this general upheaval tornado that we are about to begin all together. So we will go together through the cards, sign by card by card. And yeah, let's begin. Here is our reading. Well, so the first thing that I would like to begin with is that in our reading we have predominantly Pentacles and Swords. So we have Earth energy and we have air energy. We don't really have fire energy, which might seem weird because Mars is a fiery planet, red planet, planet with the color of blood, planet which symbolizes everything related to manhood, related to warfare, to martial arts, and is happening in the sign of Aries, in the sign of Ram, in the fire sign. But we don't have any fire energies. It surprised me first when I've done the reading, but then I started thinking that actually, although it's happening in the fire sign and Mars is a fire planet, there is not much encouragement from the universe right now to behave with fiery energy. Actually, it's not the time to burn fast, die young with vehemently. No, it is the time to actually be more grounded, which is Earth, and which actually reminds us of this stellium in Capricorn, which is squaring Mars in Aries at the moment, but also reminding us of the air, that whatever we are doing, it must remain in the mental domain, the domain of thought forms, and not being manifested, right, as far. What surprised me is that we will read horizontally and vertically, but I would like to start with the vertical. I've never seen in my whole career the vertical like this, the first our vertical row, because what we're having the Page of Pentacles, we're having the Knight of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles, right? So we have the Page, we have the Knight, and we have the King, right in the first row, one under another. And what this reminds me of is about the increase of this material, very earthly energy. And I would like to talk a little bit about numerology in this way, because 9th of September 2020, so 9922, if we make the sum of those numbers, we end up with 22. And 22 in numerology is one of the most potent numbers. It is the so-called master builder. It is the sign of a demiurge, of a person who is able to manifest instantly dreams, thought forms into material realm. It's all about manifestation. It's about knowing how to realize the plans into reality, right? So master builder, very Masonic symbol in a way. In tarot, very interestingly, in Rider-Waite deck, which I unfortunately don't have, but I will show the picture a little bit further. 22 is very much related to the very frightening Tower card. because when there is this lightning striking the tower, there are 22 little kind of sparks of fire in the air. So 22 is the Tower card. It is also about the sudden change, but also the sudden awakening. Yeah, Tower is the card of awakening. It is when you're living in this permanent dream. You're dreaming. Who is the dreamer? If someone dreaming you, or you're dreaming in your reality, you're never awakened. And then the lightning strikes. There is the hammer, which kind of strikes you on the top of your head, and hence the Great Awakening, and hence lots of people are very much afraid of Tower card, because it is a difficult card to get, but it is ultimately a very beneficial card. I will insist upon it. And this is the hidden meaning in those 22 sparks of the Tower card. We are all going through the Tower moment in a way. And actually the whole year 2020, it is 22, right? It is 22, or if we combine, it is 4. And what is 4? 4 is the number of Earth. It is the, like, we have 4 corners of the Earth. We have like some solid foundations. They're all having like 4 cornerstones. So it is again a very earthly, very material number, which is encoded in 2020, and particularly in the 9th of September 2020. And this is what is reminding of us. We are all invited through this growth from the page stage, from the initial stages of our development, probably just the first kind of like spark, then through the stage of action, which is symbolized by the knights, and then we reach the fulfillment in the King card. Knight of Pentacles is actually probably one of the most boring of the knights, and together with the Page of Pentacles and King of Pentacles, it is nothing of the fiery, airy or watery knights of other suits, which are all in motion, which are all about discovering, conquering. No, this knight is actually very stable, very steady, and what it means is slow, boring, meticulous work, lots of effort, lots of routine, reaching the results, not like instant gratification, miraculous manifestation. No, basically manifesting things through steady work, through very guided process of very thoroughly thought of procedures, right? But nonetheless, with the Page of Pentacles, we have promises, because there are fields which are already plowed. We have a promise of a harvest, which would be rich, which would be abundant, but we also have rocks here. We have mountains, which tells us about the possible difficulties which we may encounter on this way to growth. On this card, fields are still plowed, still, like, you know, the first sprouts are appearing on the fertile soil. We don't have a mountain anymore, so we have overcome the challenges on our second stage of not action in terms of Knight of Pentacles, but more of thorough planning, you know. And then the fulfillment is achieved in the King of Pentacles, with all the blossoming branches with bows in blossom. So we will get our harvest, but not through fiery kind of energy of which usually Mars in Aries would offer, but with steady work, because we remember that Mars retrograde is squaring Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn is restrained, so we're working on this field, and Saturn, he's like this guardian, yeah, guardian who is supervising our work, and he comes and says, okay, don't rush, this needs to be done very meticulously, very properly, only then you will see visible results. So we're having this one. So we start our journey actually with the Page of Pentacles. Youthful kind of beginning of earthly energy. I'm sure that we will have all great results as a collective by the end of Mars retrograde. Probably really visible, tangible changes in the material world. What is a pentacle? Yeah, the earthly signs. So Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. So Capricorn is the ruler. It's something about ruling elites in the world. Probably we'll see some changes in those realms, in the realms related to government, to structures, to everything earthy, but also in our personal life. We can see while we apply steady, meticulous approach to what we're doing. No rush. No rush is our motto for this Mars retrograde. We will see visible results. And so be it, right? The second card in our horizontal row is the Hermit. The Hermit is a Virgo card, which is no surprise. Mars retrograde starts in Virgo season, so this is a Virgo. But this is also a very gentle advice to actually, for those 3 months of retrograde, to take upon us the image of a hermit, of an ancient monk who lives in total asceticism, alone in the desert somewhere. It's not a good time to start any, like, you know, new relationship or something, because Mars is compromised. Mars is squaring Venus at the moment in Cancer, right? So it's not the best time for starting a relationship. It is a time for going alone into the mountains and, like, probably even, like, you know, when I think of it, what Bible describes about Jesus went to the desert, yeah, and he was fasting for 40 days. He was tempted by the devil there. So this is the energy of this card, that there is a wise man in total darkness, but what he has a star in his, what do you call it, in his lantern. And he has a staff which reminds us of the suit of wands, of fiery energy. So although he is in this complete darkness, the wisdom of his age, this total isolation, this chance to be alone, to listen deeply to what's inside, it sparks fire in him, symbolized by the staff, reminding of the suit of wands, suit of fire, and the star reminding us of the major arcana of a star card, very Aquarian energy, soulmate energy, angelic energy. So we recur inside and we are tapping into the source of divine inside of us, and this is what would help us. This is a card of basically healing the wounds, and in this regard I would like to discuss this card not only as Virgo but also in Aries, at 9th degree of Aries, if I'm not mistaken. There is now this planetoid, asteroid Chiron, yeah, and in Greek mythology Chiron was the Centaurs, and in general Centaurus tribe in Greek mythology, they were very Dionysian. They were more like fawns. They were lustful, they were greedy, they were violent. But Chiron was nothing like this. He was an exception. He was a black sheep, right? He was an astrologer. He was a healer. He knew the wisdom of the universe. He knew the secrets of stars. He knew the secrets of medicine. He was a doctor. He was a healer. He was an old wise man. And at the end of his life, he was accidentally wounded by one of Hercules' arrows, which was poisoned with the poison of Hydra, of this mythical monster. And he died, and he sacrificed his immortality. And Zeus, to commemorate him, to commemorate his gesture of self-sacrifice, he brought him in the heaven. And now Greeks were thinking that Chiron is actually associated with the constellation of Centaurus. And I would like to interpret this card that it might be also a Chiron, because during Mars retrograde, Mars is roughly at something like 26, 27, 28 degrees of Aries. Sorry, I haven't checked. But during his retrograde, I think that at some point he will get conjunct with the Chiron at the 9, 8 degrees of Aries at the moment. And so Mars is a wound also, right? Mars is our past trauma. It is like our traces that we got in our soul by probably being aggressive, arrogant, by being too Marsy and fiery. And Chiron is the wounded healer who actually transcends to his wisdom through understanding his own wounds. Yeah, so when we are wounded ourselves, we develop empathy towards other wounded people. People who are never traumatized, they can be really careless, yeah, they can be selfish. But people who experience deep loss, yeah, deep trauma, they're usually more empathic towards other people who are going through difficulties. And this is the energy of Chiron. And so in case this Mars retrograde is difficult, it is a very generous invitation to heal our wounds, and through healing our wounds, transcend to the higher level of empathy. And that's what the star and the lantern is talking about, because as I said, star, major arcana in tarot, it is about healing the wounds of others, soulmate, angelic healing, very hopeful energy. We move on. We're getting actually lots of major arcana, which speaks of the fateful, very karmic, very important event, what Mars retrograde is. Our next card is strength. Very simply, we are obviously required all the strength we need. This is a card of a woman who has tamed the lion with her strength, with her persistence, with her inner force, with her resilience, with her ability to beat her own demons and beasts, right? But somehow when I was thinking of it, I also thought of this card as representing the gladiator ring. And why is it so? Because gladiators were very often fighting with lions, yeah, with different exotic animals in Roman Empire. But we are on the gladiator ring as well, because what is Aries, right? We know that all astrological signs, they're named in Latin. So in Latin, Aries means simply a ram. So it is this, you know how a ram behaves, especially when he's protecting the young lambs, right, or his family. He has those two horns and he just runs and he will push you with his horns with like massive force. And this Mars, who's now in Aries, in the sign of a ram, is now squaring Saturn in Capricorn. What is Capricorn? Capricorn in Latin means capra, it's a goat, and corn, it is a horn, same root as in cornucopia, yeah, the corn. It's all about the horn. So two animals with horns, goat and ram, they're clashing. They are clashing, they are like very stubborn, both of them, very stubborn with very spiky, sharp horns, sorry. And when they clash, you know, they're like all the sparks of fire, Leo here, yeah, Leo is a spark of the fiery sign. So sparks are flying from the eyes, from those like clashing horns. We are invited here, like on the gladiator ring, to beat this animal, to kind of survive this clash of those energies, and to basically, yeah, beat our internal beast, our like bad things. So like all our negative feelings inside of us, we fight with them, and then we heal them with this energy of Chiron and of Virgo. Virgo is a healer as well, right? Virgo is the healing of physical body primarily, but also speaking of which, actually Mars is also the planet of inflammation. I absolutely wish very steady health for all of us, and hopefully no one will get sick during this Mars retrograde. But Virgo is also a healer, so be very careful with your health. Those two cards are telling me, be really careful. We are now in the middle of pandemic, be careful with that. Be careful with any chronic diseases, because the Mars retrograde, the fiery energy might spark this, but we are having Chiron, the healer. We are having now the Virgo season. Virgo is a healer, so I very much hope that this would counteract the possible chance of inflammation. We are moving to the second row, and we have this Knight of Pentacles. We have the Two of Cups, and we're having the Hierophant. I'd like to talk about it. Knight of Pentacles is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Hierophant is a Taurus. And between them, we have Two of Cups. Two of Cups in the tarot, it's actually the only card which really symbolizes lovers. Lovers, union, partnership, both romantic or business. But look, they are squeezed. This very cups, yeah, emotions, water, but here we also have caduceus. Caduceus is a symbol of Mercury, the symbol of Mercury, which will be retrograding between Libra and Scorpio from, I think, from the middle of October to something like the beginning of November, yeah, for about 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Let me please check my notes. October 14 to November 3, yeah, so, and Libra is also squaring, so those are all cardinal signs, yeah, we have Libra, Capricorn, Aries, and Cancer. they're all squaring together. They're like a cross, and we are all symbolically crucified on this cross. So Mercury would be squaring Mars in Aries, and also retrograding between Scorpio and Libra. And so he's a little bit compromised. He's challenged. Mercury is going internally inside. Mars is also about going internally inside. This is not the real time to start any romantic or business-like partnerships, because this card, which is extremely beneficial, extremely driven, volatile, fast in its original meaning, it is squeezed between those two guys. And while I already have spoken about it, because we have this whole vertical of the earthly energy, which is kind of like restraining everything, we're also having Hierophant here. Hierophant is Taurus. Uranus is now in Taurus. Uranus is a great liberator. So again, it speaks to me that speaking of this symbolism of 22, that we're having very earthy energy, but at the same time a chance to liberate ourselves, to grow, to become master builders through working with those earthly energies. What is also Hierophant? Hierophant is everything ancient. It represents the Pope, yeah, the Church, some structures which existed for thousands of years, tradition, being deeply rooted in the traditional religious beliefs, for example. This is not the card of, how to say, alternative things, not of alternative medicine, not of alternative ways of knowledge, nothing new age, everything very traditional. So in case this is something you are related to, those traditional firm beliefs, they might serve as a very good anchor for you, to anchor you, to give you support. In case you are part of some parish, you know, you're part of a meditation group, you are part of some yoga shala, this will help you. Taurus is very grounded. I think Taurus is even more than Capricorn. It is the epitome of being grounded, of having our 4 feet steadily on the ground, of being sure in tomorrow and sure in today, and know who you are. So this might ask you to invite a, how to say, an element of ritual in your life. In case you're not a religious person, in case you are not related to this, even invite a stable rituals in your life. Like, for example, I had at some point in my life, I had a plant of lemon balm, you know, in my garden, and during the summer I was waking up, and the first thing I would cut a few stems and I would brew a tea for me. And this was my ritual, my very put into the routine ritual for starting my day. And actually this kind of psychological trick, it created a certain loop in my mind. So I knew that although we are in hectic times and I might feel very different during the day, I had certain rituals, yeah, certain things. The Taurus is also, exactly, it is about simple things. It's about caring about your body. You can start doing some rituals, like, for example, speaking of other rituals, of certain types of food and drink, but also rituals of taking care of your body. Yeah, I'm a big fan of creating like homemade cosmetics, like salt and oil scrubs for body, or like oil masks for hair, something like this, like, you know, some sort of alchemical, simple enough ritual for taking care of your body. This might anchor you, because otherwise it's quite a difficult period. We can get obsessed, we can get to, like, you know, how to say, all the low manifestations of Mars, yeah. Speaking of this, of all those, actually those 2 cards, they're just below each other. So in case this lion, your internal beast, gets the better of you, recur to Taurus, to, like, you know, simple pleasures of life, simple lifestyle, and simple rituals, yeah, simple routine. Hierophant is also here is the Pope, figure of authority, but we have 2 apprentices or 2 donors. Actually, the iconography is very medieval in a way, because, you know, in medieval art there are saints, but very often in the corners there are donors, so people who commissioned the work to be created and gave money for its so-called sponsors. And those sponsors, they are in this worshipping position in a good way. At the start, so it is not time to be big, to be bold. It is the time basically to symbolically kneel. I guess what I'm getting now is this kind of image, metaphor of a prayer when we kneel, the Hierophant. And then when we go deeply inside, yeah, like a hermit, we close our eyes, we pray, and we achieve this calmness, this stillness of mind in which we can think clearly. Actually, our last card, King of Swords, the epitome of mental clarity. Yeah? Swords is the suit of air and intellect. And yeah, we can achieve the clarity of mind, and that's what we need, because Mars retrograde will do anything to push us into the uncomfortable places of trauma, places of conflict, with this Saturn squaring it, restraint of our project, our fiery energy. It's like, you know, we're like this ram, fiery, this is a wall, Saturn and Capricorn. You are trying to go through it, you are pushing it with your corns, nothing is happening, you just hit yourself, you hurt. We don't want this. So it's not time to act, it is time to kneel, to pray, to go inside, to think of the Chiron as a wounded healer, to heal our wounds. And also, because although I said that this card is really squeezed, it is in a very weak position in this reading, absolutely squeezed between Hierophant, between the Hermit, and between Knight of Pentacles. 3 earthy signs, Hermit, Virgo, Knight of Pentacles, Capricorn, Hierophant, Taurus, squeezed between 3 earthy energies. So no time for love, guys, no time for parties. But still, it is in the heart of our reading. I pulled 9 cards, and this card is like in a frame. So I think this also gives us the promise that at the end of it, we have the potential of building harmonious union between man and woman, between partners, very mercurial union, related by those, by the common ideas, by understanding each other from the first word, understanding each other without words, like Hermes, Mercury. He was kind of psychopomp, yeah, he was a mediator between the worlds, of being volatile, of being very mobile, you know, beautiful energy of love, of union, of harmony, of balance. So it is like, although as I said, it is in a weak position, it gives us hope that in case we go through this retrograde with decency, you know, acting in a correct manner, we can manifest beautiful unions in our life, probably understand our partners better through healing our wounds, developing this empathy, which allows us to be both better romantic partners and better colleagues, better friends, better business partners. And our last row, we have on the right and on the left, we have the King of Pentacles and the King of Swords. So we have this Capricorn, and then we have the King, it is our last card of the reading, the King of Mental Clarity. This is actually a very good promising card, because it tells us that if we work correctly, we have a good chance now to heal our mental blockages, to heal our mental kind of hooks, you know, mental loops, bad mental patterns, depressions, and so on. We'll reach mental clarity. The King of Swords is famous in tarot because he very usually has a butterfly. Butterfly, the symbol of transformation. We will transform at the end of this journey. We also have the moon, we have the waning moon, the waxing moon, reminding us of the cycles, that reminding, let's call it this king, let's call him and pretend that he is King Solomon. King Solomon, who had a ring on which it was said, "This too shall pass." We don't need to, that's why we're having 0 fire, we're having 0 wands in our reading. We have strengths, it's a Leo card, but besides we don't have much, because we are reminded of being like Tauruses, Virgos, and Capricorn, naturally very rational, knowing that good things shall pass, but bad things shall pass too. So I want to interpret this king as the King Solomon, king, ancient Jewish king of wisdom, of very rational mental clarity, and of this very clear mind, you know, who transforms as the butterfly, and those waxing and waning moons remind us of the cycle of life, and they give us advice, take everything with wisdom, that even bad things will go away like a moon, and there will be a new moon, and there will be a new cycle. And between those two series, guys, between those two, Capricorn, and he has Taurus here, so very Taurian king and very much like also wise king of transformation, we have a very interesting combination, because I took those two cards together, they came in conjunction. There is Empress, but also on top of her is another card of swords, Ace of Swords. And when I took it, I thought that Empress is Venus, and this is a Venus with a knife at her throat, you know. Venus is now, at least at the moment, I think, is in Cancer, in the watery, very tender sign, squaring this retrograde in Aries, squaring, so her lover, Mars is the lover of Venus, he's her divine husband, divine masculine, squaring it in a very unpleasant energy, but also in opposition to the hell of a party in Capricorn with this Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn conjunction. So Virgo, gentle princess, gentle lady, not Virgo, Venus, gentle princess, gentle lady Venus, the queen of pleasure, physical pleasures. On this card, I like how she's depicted, because Venus, it is the archetype of mother, fertility. She has very big breasts, yeah, very open décolletage, which speaks about this divine feminine, of those nurturing breasts of Mother Earth, about earthly pleasures related to money, to food, to all those like living with the panache, dressing in your best gown, going to theater, drinking lots of champagne, dancing on the tables. No, not happening, because she's totally blocked with this. She's just like, whoo, I'm in my best gown, I'm ready to go. I'm Venus in Capricorn, and she's getting all those oppositions and clashes with Mars and Saturn, which literally put a knife at her throat. So not a time to party hard. And the Lady Venus is having this, yeah, I don't know, I'm laughing so much, I'm sorry, it's an in-house joke, but when I told it, I just saw how this beautiful lady appears on some, like, you know, feast at the court of the king, or actually two kings, and instead of a party, she's getting, like, you know, something like, you know, some how to say, ghost of Banco. That's like, you know, the fun turns into this horrible party when there is like an attack on the king, and she's getting like knife to her, sword to her neck. So she's blocked, and she's also blocked, but why? What? Ace is a new beginning. Those two cards, they kind of like correspond, because we end our reading with them, two sword cards, the beginning and the completion. So although not time to party hard, to be too light-hearted and with, like, no careless mind, but more about thinking with clear mind about your actions, not driving them forward, but just creating very rational, very planned thought forms, and eventually, hopefully, we will end up with increased wisdom, with the ability to heal our wounds, with our wounds healed, with better connection to ourselves, to earthly rituals, to simple pleasures, to traditional beliefs, like, you know, decent kind of beliefs that will bring you benefit, like, you know, that will actually create a tree with deep roots inside your soul, so that you're never lost, you're connected to the ancient wisdom, to the tradition, with the promise of building beautiful, balanced, harmonial unions at the end of this retrograde, although not at the moment, because as we discussed, it's all blocked. And I will finish with what I started with becoming the master builder of our own destiny. Well, my darlings, I hope that was useful. I very much wish you a very good Mars retrograde. the most important thing, don't be afraid. Be like King Solomon. This too shall pass. And please let me know what you think. What are your hopes? What are your concerns? What are your fears about Mars retrograde? Are you excited about it? Are you just thinking, God, not again, this 2020, please, God, give us a break, like, or whatever else you prefer. I hope you liked. I'll see you in a week with the Virgo new moon tarot tale. And so far, lots of blessings. May God be with you guys, and love you. Bye.